Imagine being 9 years old, safe in your pajamas, asleep in your own bed, and then never waking up at home again. Gallup, New Mexico, 1986. A small desert town nestled in the heart of Navajo Nation. Quiet, familiar. The kind of place where neighbors know your dog's name and kids roam barefoot until dusk. But on April 6th, that calm was shattered. A little girl vanished into the night. No struggle, no signs of forced entry, no cries for help, just gone. Her name was Anthonette Cayedito, a bright, loving, fiercely responsible child who, even at 9, was more like a second mom to her younger sisters. Nicknamed Squirrel for her energy, she ironed clothes, cooked breakfast, and won fitness awards at school. She loved Michael Jackson, and her favorite color was purple. This wasn't just another missing persons case. It was a wound that never healed, a mystery that clawed at the conscience of a community, a family, and a nation. Today, nearly 40 years later, there are whispers of phone calls, messages scribbled on napkins, and a mother's dark secret that still chills investigators to their core. This is not just a story, it's a haunting. And it begins, as most tragedies do, with a quiet night and a knock at the door. Chapter 1, The Night She Vanished, April 6, 1986, started like any other quiet Saturday in Gallup, New Mexico, a sleepy town nestled near the edge of the Navajo Nation. The Cayedito family lived in a modest apartment on Arnold Street, unit number 9. It wasn't much, but it was home. That night, Anthonette, just 9 years old, stayed in with her two younger sisters, Wendy and Sadie. The girls were in their pajamas, likely curled up with a movie or already drifting off to sleep. A babysitter watched over them as their mother, Penny, headed out for the evening to unwind with friends at a local bar. Penny returned just after midnight. She sent the babysitter home, peeked in on her daughters, and everything seemed normal. At around 3 a.m., she checked once more. Anthonette was there, safe and asleep. So she went back to bed, unaware that this would be the last moment she'd ever see her eldest daughter again. 4 hours later, just after 7 a.m., the family's Sunday routine began. It was Bible school day. But when Penny walked into the bedroom, Anthonette's bed was empty. No child, no blanket trail, no sounds of footsteps. Her sisters hadn't even noticed she was gone. Panic set in. There were no signs of forced entry, no shattered glass, no disturbed furniture. The front door was locked. How does a 9-year-old vanish without a trace from her own home? Neighbors quickly joined in the frantic search. Authorities arrived and launched a large-scale operation. They scoured the surrounding desert foothills on motorcycles and ATVs. Search dogs were deployed. Helicopters circled overhead. But it was like chasing a ghost. No scent, no footprint, no clue. As one officer later put it, if there were any clues, they were trampled. Details emerged slowly and suspiciously. A man named Ron Perry admitted knocking on the door and bedroom window at around 3:30 a.m., concerned after a bar argument with Penny. Penny didn't mention this until later. Even more troubling was a man known as Emiliano Amo Gardella. He had reportedly been giving flowers to Anthonette in the days leading up to her disappearance. Penny withheld that too, until someone else brought it up. The media pounced. Flyers were printed. Tips flooded in. But hope began to decay as days slipped into weeks, and weeks into cruel silence. Chapter 2, The Phone Call That Shook a Town. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon, April 12, 1987, when the Gallup Police Department received a call that would send chills down every spine in the station. The voice was young, trembling, and desperate. "My name is Anthonette Cayedito," the girl said. She repeated it again, her pronunciation clear and oddly formal, like a child coached to make every syllable count. "I'm in Albuquerque," she began. Then came a sharp interruption. "Who said you could use the phone?" A deep, furious male voice boomed in the background. The girl screamed. Then a scuffle, muffled sounds, and finally, silence. Just 40 seconds. But it was enough to rattle the town of Gallup to its core. The call had been recorded automatically, as per department policy. Investigators replayed it dozens of times, and when they brought the tape to Penny Cayedito, Anthonette's mother, she didn't hesitate. "That's her," she said. "That's my baby." Penny clung to how the girl pronounced Cayedito. It wasn't just the name. It was the way she said it, the inflection, the rhythm. "Only Anthonette said it that way," Penny insisted, tears running down her face. But there was no way to confirm it. No tracing technology could pinpoint the origin of the call in 1987. It could have come from a payphone, a home, a motel. It could have been a cruel prank, or the desperate cry of a child in danger. Still, that phone call reignited a flicker of hope. If it was Anthonette, she was alive, and she was trying to come home. But hope didn't come alone. Suspicion crept in too. Why hadn't Penny shared details about Emo sooner? Why had she failed a lie detector test? And why, years later, would she whisper to FBI agents, "What if me and Emo did this? Would we both go to prison?" The call became more than just a clue. It became the fulcrum of the entire case. It exposed cracks in Penny's story. It hinted at a life in captivity, and it became a painful symbol of how close Anthonette might have been. Just one call away. But like everything else in this case, it ended too soon. Just a voice, a scream, and the kind of silence that never really leaves. Chapter 3. Sightings, Secrets, and the Napkin. As the years passed, stories trickled in like ghostly echoes. A pink dress spotted in San Antonio, screams heard from a brown truck at a gas station, a girl in El Paso with 2 Hispanic men. The sightings were all different, and yet all the same. But the most haunting came from Carson City, Nevada in 1991. A waitress noticed a girl dining with a rough-looking couple. The girl looked about 14 or 15, timid, dirty, out of place. She kept dropping her utensils. The waitress bent down to pick one up, and the girl squeezed her hand hard. Later, while clearing the table, the waitress found a napkin beneath the girl's plate. 2 words scratched in shaky writing. "Help me. Call the police." By the time she realized what had happened, the trio had vanished. For investigators, it was another ghost lead. There was no CCTV, no vehicle info, no fingerprints, just a plea for help and a whole lot of maybes. Meanwhile, Penny turned to her roots for answers. She consulted a Navajo medicine woman who performed a traditional ritual. The medicine woman said Anthonette was alive, had a child, and was being held somewhere in the Southwest, threatened into silence. Surprisingly, the FBI admitted the details aligned with aspects of their investigation. That fueled Penny's resolve. But then in 1994, the house of cards started to fall. Penny told the FBI about a knock at the door that night, something she had never said before. She admitted telling Anthonette to answer it, and then she said something that would shake the case forever. "What if me and Emo did this?" She confessed to knowing who was taking her daughter, confessed to telling her to open the door. But when pressed further, she shut down. Despite the chilling admission, Penny was never charged. To this day, many believe she knew far more than she ever said. Chapter 4. Family Fractured, Hope Flickering. When Anthonette Cayedito vanished, she didn't just disappear from her bedroom, she was ripped from the fabric of her family's life, leaving behind a tear that would never truly mend. Her younger sister Wendy was just 5 at the time. She later revealed that she had actually seen part of what happened that night. A second knock at the door, a voice claiming to be Uncle Joe, and then her brave big sister answering it, only to be grabbed and dragged out screaming. But Wendy said nothing for years. She was too young, too scared, too confused, and that silence, it festered. The weight of that trauma eventually pushed Wendy down a dark path. Guilt turned to grief. Grief turned to rebellion. Drugs, alcohol, gangs, jail time. "It broke our family," she admitted in a 2016 interview. "We numbed the pain with whatever we could, not to forget, but to survive." It wasn't just about losing a sister. It was about losing a sense of safety, of trust, of home. Penny, their mother, was never the same. She clung to rituals, psychics, and hope. But behind closed doors, she struggled with secrets. Her 1994 confession to the FBI, questioning aloud if she and a man named Emo had orchestrated Anthonette's disappearance, sent shockwaves through the case. And then, just as the FBI prepared to question her again in 1999, she died. Liver failure, cardiac arrest, 46 years old. She took her secrets to the grave. Years later, Wendy still voices the gnawing suspicion. "My mom knew something. She had to, and she wasn't alone." Investigators believe Penny withheld vital information. A failed polygraph, inconsistent stories, a mysterious man delivering flowers to Anthonette in the days before she vanished. All threads that fray and tangle, but never tie into anything solid. And still, the questions echo. Was Anthonette sold, trafficked, taken by someone she knew and trusted? Was it random or orchestrated? Wendy eventually broke free from the spiral. She got clean. She reclaimed custody of her kids. "If I can't find my sister," she said, "then I can at least find myself." That journey to healing came decades too late, but never too late to matter. What remains now is a digital rendering, a computer-aged image of Anthonette, frozen in possibility. Hope may flicker, but it hasn't gone out. Not yet. Chapter 5. Still missing, still loved. As of today, Anthonette Cayedito would be nearly 50 years old. She's still listed as a missing person, her case remains open, and her photo, digitally aged, eyes still kind, stares out from bulletin boards, FBI websites, and cold case files. Her sister Sadie still speaks to her in interviews. In 2022, she said, "She has a family that loves her. We haven't given up. Wherever she is, I hope she knows that." And how could they give up? The napkin, the phone call, the girl in the truck stop, the plea for help. So many little flames in the dark, none bright enough to show the way home. Maybe she didn't die that night in Gallup. Maybe she grew up behind closed doors. Maybe she had a child. Maybe she's still out there, wondering if anyone remembers her. Well, we do, because Anthonette Cayedito is more than a missing person. She's a story that reminds us how fragile trust can be, how betrayal can wear the face of someone you love, and how hope, no matter how thin, never truly dies. If this story shook something in you, you're not alone. Anthonette's case remains unsolved. But maybe, just maybe, you know something that could help. Or maybe you'll be the person who shares this and reaches the one who does. So don't let her name fade. Keep her story alive. Because justice delayed doesn't have to be justice denied. Subscribe if you want more real stories like this. Raw, unresolved, and human. Tap the bell so you never miss the truth we uncover. And most of all, drop a comment. What do you think happened to Anthonette? Let's talk. Let's question. Let's not forget.